In today's lesson, we will be talking about rounding decimals. So when you round decimals, you need to be able to understand the place values, the different positions of the decimals, and you look to the right of the place you're rounding to. And if it is equal to or greater than 5, you round up, which means you change the number to the next number up, or if it is less than 5, you leave it alone. So let's look at some examples. In these problems, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So you need to understand your 10th position, which in this problem is the 6th. That is in the 10th position. So you look to the right of that place value. Okay, you look to the right of it, because here it says you look to the right always. And you look at that number. That number in this problem is an 8. 8 is larger than 5, which means I round up. So this is going to turn into 5.7. The 6 rounds up to the 7. So again, you look to the right, which was an 8. It's higher than 5, so I round the 6 up to a 7. Let's look at the next problem, 14.224. So again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. The 2 is in the 10th position, the first 2. So I look to the right of it, which leads me to that second 2. 2 is less than 5, which means I leave it alone. So this 2 stays as it is. It does not change. I leave it alone because it's less than 5. All right, let's look at the next set of examples. Again, we round up if it is greater than 5, and you round down if it's less than 5. So if we're rounding, this particular problem says round to the nearest whole number. So our whole number position would be this 14. So we're going to look to the right. To the right of the 14 is the 8. 8 is higher than 5, so that means it rounds up to a 15. 8 is higher than 5, so it rounds up to 15. Looking at the next problem, we'll look at the 22. We look to the right. The right of 22 is a 3. 3 is less than 5, so it's going to stay the same as 22. It's not going to round up. It's going to stay the same. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, let's look at these next examples. We're rounding to the nearest hundredth. Again, you're going to be rounding to different place values, and so you have to find that place, that position, and then look to the right. Look to the right of that position. Nearest hundredth. The hundredth is this 8, the first 8. I look to the right of it. So I'm going to get 5.6, and I have to decide, well, 8 is larger than 5, so that means that 8 bumps up and becomes a 9. Goes up to the 9. It rounds up. Okay, next hundredths is a 0 is in the hundredths position, so 13.5. And then I decide, does that 0 stay a 0 or does it become a 1? So I look to the right of it. To the right of it is a 1. 1 is less than 5, so I leave it alone, and it stays 13.50, which is the same thing as if you just write 13.5. You don't have to have the 0 at the end. All right, the hundredths position is this 9. I look to the right of it, and there's a 9. Now this one is a little bit trickier. 9 is definitely higher than 5, which means it's going to round this number up. Well, that 9, when it rounds up, becomes a 10, which means it bumps it all the way up to this number has to go up. So I get 6.90. The 9 rounded up to this, it makes a 10, which rounds up to make that a 9. It's kind of like a dominoes effect. One number, sometimes, if it's a 9, it'll bump that up to the next position. Okay, so there you have it. Just remember, when you're rounding decimals, you're going to look to the right of the position in which you're rounding. So make sure that you look at the directions closely. If it's hundredths, tenths, ones, whole numbers, it could be any position. Just make sure you read those directions clearly and then look to the right in order to be able to round. If you need more help, just send an email to stemtutorplace@gmail.com. I also have a lot of math units and lessons available, so make sure that you subscribe to Tutor Place. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.